So Israel is expanding the war inside of the Gaza Strip. Let's take a look at why this is happening, what this is going to look like, both from a video news update as well as the Washington Post.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Thanks so much for joining with us. Today we go to Israel. Well, it's calling up tens of thousands of reserves as it prepares to intensify and expand its war on Hamas. The mission? To conquer Gaza and hold the territory.
Israel's also promising retaliation after a Houthi missile strike near Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport on Sunday. CBN's Chris Mitchell reports.
The Security Cabinet today unanimously approved the plan to expand the Gaza operation, providing for the conquering of Gaza and holding the territories.
The army has the plans ready to take over the Gaza Strip. The government thinks this should be done. The question is the timing. And how do you balance between the need to bring back the hostages on one hand and destroying Hamas on the other hand?
The announcement comes one day after a Houthi missile hit Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport. Netanyahu warned the Houthis and Iran they both bear responsibility for the attack.
We will not tolerate it. We will take very strong action against them. And we always remember that they act with their patron Iran's direction and support.
On X, Netanyahu reposted an earlier message by President Trump blaming Iran for Houthi attacks and added, President Trump is absolutely right. Attacks by the Houthis emanate from Iran. Israel will respond to the Houthi attack against our main airport and at a time and place of our choosing to their Iranian terror masters. This is the main entrance into David Ben Gurion Airport. Just across the road, you can see where the Houthi missile hit from nearly 1,400 miles away. Whoa! Social media lit up with footage of when the missile hit about 350 yards from the main airport terminal. After the strike, the Houthis announced a complete aerial blockade of Ben Gurion Airport.
Airlines fly from United, from Lufthansa, from Air France, Air Canada. This was not a military base or a military target. This was directed at civilians.
The airport operations were completely halted for more than an hour. With this, the Yemeni armed forces reaffirmed their warning to all international airlines to cease flights to Ben Gurion Airport as it has become unsafe for air navigation.
The attack left passengers stranded after multiple airlines temporarily canceled their flights. It's uncertain when those flights will resume. Also this weekend, Iran unveiled a new missile it says can bypass the U.S. THAAD anti-ballistic defense system with ease and said American bases are their targets.
If we are attacked, if a war is imposed on us, we will give a powerful response. We will attack their interests, their bases, without any reservations or limitations.
Meanwhile, IDF Chief of Staff General Eyal Zamir announced they're calling up tens of thousands of reserves in order to defeat the terror group and bring the hostages home.
Well, Chris Mitchell is with us now, live from Jerusalem. So, Chris, the goal to conquer Gaza, now hold the territories. This is a really big shift in Israel's strategy. What are the risks to this?
Well, it's a very big shift right now, Gordon, because since the beginning of the war, the previous strategy has been based on special operations, clear an area, but then leave it. And that's why some troops have literally captured areas multiple times. So the new strategy, divide and rule, clear the territory, but remain and not allow Hamas back in. So it's a dramatic change. The IDF controls right now about 30% of Gaza. They want to destroy Hamas infrastructure, eliminate Hamas as a threat, and then push Hamas and the population into humanitarian zones. And this hopefully will pressure Hamas to release the hostages. What are the risks? Well, you have combatants in harm's way, now up to 60,000. And you have tens of thousands of those reservists. That pays a price for their families, businesses, jobs. Also, civilian casualties. Hamas uses their own population as human shields. And obviously, it poses a risk to the hostages. Will Hamas yield and release them? Or, God forbid, simply kill them? The IDF chief did say, along with this plan, they could lose some of the hostages.
Well, Israel has controlled Gaza years ago. Let's go back to Prime Minister Sharon and the famous withdrawal. And then All Jews left the Gaza Strip and they were turned over to elections. It was under pressure from the Bush administration. There was supposed to be this Arab Spring, and if democracy is introduced, they would choose freedom, they would choose peace, all of these things. So it seems to be a complete repudiation of that withdrawal. Are they planning to hold it temporarily, or is this a long-term strategy?
Gordon, I think it's a long-term strategy that they would hold Gaza and control it, and we'll see what happens after that if they can achieve that total control of the Gaza Strip. But I think this is a long-term strategy that they hope will put the pressure on Hamas and stop this, going over and over at the same territory over and over with these special operations. And when you refer to Sharon's withdrawal, that's such a tragedy, Gordon. It really has led to what we had on October 7th by yielding the Gaza Strip, which people thought would be the Singapore of the Mediterranean. It turned out to be Hamas-stan.
Well, with all the reservists being called up, what's the reaction from the Israeli public? How are they reacting to it?
Well, some people are objecting because it puts risk of the hostages. That's one of the main things that people are saying. But there's also groups that, like the Tikva Forum, hostage families, they believe that pressure on Hamas will be the goal to bring the hostages home. As I said, it's going to put a greater burden on tens of thousands of families. But the new plan actually, Gordon, actually sets clear strategic goals. They'll probably start gradually, and they'll likely begin after President Trump visits the region next week. Netanyahu said recently, in wars, you reach a decision, which is victory. And I think there's been this is part of the whole change of strategy. And Amir Avivi, who we talked in our report, he said the operation, when it gets going, is going to be vast and decisive.
Let's turn to the Houthi attack on Ben Gurion Airport. Was that one of these new missiles that the Iranians claim can evade radars of defensive systems? Is that what this attack was, or was it a more conventional ballistic missile?
It was a more conventional ballistic missiles, and apparently the IDF says that it was a failure of the interceptor to work. Actually, they've intercepted, of the last 27 ballistic missiles fired by the Houthis, they've intercepted 26 of them. When I was there yesterday, Gordon, the 27th that actually made it through was so close to the airport, literally just like a few football fields away. It could have been far worse if it really hit the terminal and the runways, or God forbid, one of the airplanes. And so the goal of the Houthis, obviously, to shut down the airport. They succeeded for a few hours, but it has a long-term impact on the international flights, especially on tourism, which is the economic lifeline of Israel. And we'll see what happens. And I also found out that, people have asked, how can they still fire missiles after the U.S. campaign for many weeks? And apparently the Houthis have been hiding mobile launchers for years in the desert, and apparently that's how they've been able to fire these in the last few weeks.
Any prediction on the Israeli response? How would they respond to the attack?
Well, I think three ways. Perhaps sabotage inside Iran, covert actions, also pinpointing strikes against the Houthis, and finally diplomatic pressure, Gordon. I think this maybe, gives the lie to some people here about these U.S.-Iranian talks, and maybe people will see that they may be futile as Iran continues to feed its Houthis with ICBMs.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining with us. There's certainly a lot to pray for, and a lot to pray for Israel and for peace in the Middle East. For those of you watching at home, be aware that there's a new propaganda campaign coming out of the Palestinians, out of Hamas, and it's talking about how can you support genocide of children, the aid workers, the health workers that were killed by an Israeli strike, all of these things. And my response to all of that critique is Hamas started this, and it started it horrifically on October 7th. The massacre, the brutalization of dead bodies, the kidnapping of small children, the still holding hostages. The answer to the humanitarian crisis is for Hamas to lay down their arms and unconditionally surrender and turn back all of the hostages. Without that, there won't be peace in Gaza. And Israel has an absolute right to defend itself and to go and retrieve their citizens who have been taken hostage. The blame entirely is on Hamas. Before October 7th, Israel was living at peace. There weren't any troops deployed in Gaza. None of this was happening. And Hamas is the one that started it. Israel is going to be the one who finishes it.
Okay, let's go to the Washington Post here. Israel approves plan to expand Gaza war, including the, quote, occupation of the territory. In Tel Aviv, the Israeli government has approved a plan to expand military operations in the Gaza Strip, which would include the occupation of the territory, Israeli officials said on Monday. The Security Cabinet unanimously approved the new Gaza war plan at a meeting Sunday night. David Mencer, spokesman for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, told reporters on Monday. During the meeting, Netanyahu, quote, emphasized that the plan differs from previous ones by shifting from raid-based operations to the occupation of territory and sustaining it. Another Israeli official said Monday, speaking on the condition of the anonymity to describe sensitive discussions. The IDF chief of staff who presented the plan to the Security Cabinet said it would allow for stronger strikes against Hamas and help bring the hostages who remain in the territory, the official said. I will continue to repeat over and over, there is nothing more important than the hostages. Nada. Israel ended its 2-month ceasefire with Hamas and resumed attacks on Gaza March 18th. Since then, the Israeli military has dramatically altered the map of the enclave. I just want to focus on this for a second. It says Israel ended its 2-month ceasefire. It ended it because it had no choice due to Hamas not abiding by the ceasefire. So if Israel had just let the conditions continue where Hamas gets to dictate what does and doesn't happen under a ceasefire, that would not be the right way to wage war. And at the same time, there's a very sensitive operation here, given the fact that there are still hostages. People need to understand that. The expanded operations involve seizing and occupying more territory in Gaza, which will require more ground troops. A former Israeli military official with knowledge of the plans, who spoke on the condition of the anonymity to discuss internal planning, said ahead of the cabinet vote, the plan stops short of the complete military occupation of Gaza that the IDF has weighed, the former official said. Implementing such an occupation is considered difficult but not impossible given the staffing levels required. I want to say that there's a lot of divide inside of Israel at the moment because many people do feel that the government is taking advantage of waging war, grabbing land in Gaza, continuing on to remain in power in the government, in the parliament, and neglecting the hostage crisis. I don't think that the government is doing what obviously the public would like it to do. I don't think there have been the best efforts at continuing to keep the hostage crisis as priority number one. With that being said, the government in Israel, any government, any country, any leader has, and this is going to sound unfortunate, but it's just a reality. They have other variables in their basket that they have to weigh. Whether they weigh as much as the hostages or not is not the conversation. And I don't think anything weighs as much as the importance of getting the hostages home. I've been saying that since the beginning of the war. And anyone that would think otherwise, I think, has an issue. But very close to that would probably be the security of Israel, the safety of Israel, the borders of Israel, the IDF. You also have tens of thousands of Israelis displaced still who have not gone back to their homes. You have people all over the world who are being called back in to reservists. You have the budget increase to supply for those reservists. You have, like the beginning of the video said, more of these reservists being called back in, IDF soldiers being called back in because they're going to expand the Gaza war. These things cost money. These things require budgeting. These things require resources. These things require time. And the security of Israel, when we still have these terror attacks coming from Area A of the West Bank, when we still have missiles 2 days ago from Yemen and the Houthi pirates, when we still have threats up north, people act like Hezbollah doesn't exist. There are still soldiers in Lebanon. Do people not understand that? The IDF still has a presence in Lebanon. They can't leave Lebanon. If they leave Lebanon, we have another issue up north. You have the Syrian regime You have al-Jilani's regime currently butchering Druze near Damascus, in southern Syria, looking to just absolutely remove all ethnic minorities from Syria so they can continue to push further south. I said this when he took over the Assad regime, so they can get closer to attacking Israel. They first need to wipe it of ethnic minorities so that they are all radical Islamists, because that's what all of these people are. Don't know how people still don't understand that. And you have Iran, who controls the pieces on the chessboard. So to sit here and say that it's just the flip of the switch for Bibi and the rest of the government to just say, you know what, hey guys, ceasefire, here we go. First of all, isn't so simple given all of the other factors I'm mentioning and many of the ones I'm missing. And two, you can't forget who they have to negotiate with in the first place. I'm not going to even categorize these people as human because they're not human. They're barbaric creatures. They don't operate as humans. They don't have the same operating system as a human, as a regular human. I don't care if they drink the same water or eat the same food or breathe the same air. They do not move like one. Move as in who they are, what they represent, what they stand for, what they believe in, what they want to achieve, what they teach, what they preach, what they educate, what they influence. They're not good people. They're very hard to negotiate with. None of the people who choose to criticize anyone in the general public, and I will go to America, watching CNN as a Republican, getting mad at the Democrats, watching Fox as a Democrat, getting mad at the Republicans. None of us have their perspective, their viewpoint. None of us are wearing the goggles and how they see things, the different pieces on the chessboard that they have to move, their jobs, their tasks. None of us have been there. And I think it's a little bit naive for us in the general public to act like we have the answer that's so easy to implement when we don't even sit in the 0.0000001% of jobs that are available in the world. A prime minister, a president, a king, a prince, a queen, what have you. There's so few people in the world who understand what it takes, A, to get there, and B, to operate in that position. I'm not saying that I agree with the Israeli government, that I agree with how things have gone. I've been very much openly criticizing many things during this war that I don't agree with, such as the timing of going in, such as the order of operations and the sequence. Okay? We've seen military pressure very much succeed. But at the same time, I'm also empathetic to the fact that this war is so hard to fight. The terrain that they have to operate in is terrain that none of us can wrap our heads around. It's incomprehensible. I've spoken to my friends who have been in Gaza. They try to explain it to me. I still don't get it. And these aren't necessarily soldiers who are on special ops teams. They might just be K9 units. Or they might just be guys who are just, going with the tanks. I forget what they're called, but they literally march with the tanks, and there's units before and behind. The point is we never have enough context. We don't. And the context as to what is going behind the scenes, because I do believe that 90 to 95% of what we see as the general public on the news and on the media is not real. And we are very far removed from reality and the truth. I really believe that. I really do. I think that the news and the media tries to just keep our attentions because it drives up emotion and anger and fear and vulnerability. And these are all the different things that we feel as human beings that grab our attention and keep it. And the longer that they grab our attention, the longer that they keep it, the more money that they make. That is what the media does. That's what the media is. They make money off of getting us feeling that way. The more that we can feel that way, the more money they make. We get played like a violin. That's how I feel. And the reason I feel this way also about the government and us being so disconnected from what's really happening behind closed doors is because I see it. I see it. All of us act like we have the answers to all this stuff. So it's just something for you guys to think about. Thank you so much, as always, for all your support. See you next video. If you want to Continue the conversation. You can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.